everybody. Thank you for joining us today and welcome. This is part of our Parenting Talk series, which is about 30 minutes recorded videos with subject experts so that we can give to our mothers and dads who are very busy parents, and they can view this anytime they want to on their own time, because we know how busy parenting is. So today we have our first two subject experts, Odette and Deepak. Now, Odette is our expert from Gordon Consulting. She has worked with many families in helping parents bridge the communication with their kids. And Deepak is from Ray Consulting. She has helped families with the supporting parenting in creating the strong bonds and relationship with parents. So Odette and Deepak, can you please just give us a brief introduction to yourself and also a little bit about your company as well?
Thank you very much, Shin. Good afternoon, Deepak. Good afternoon, everyone. I am a parent effectiveness training instructor certified coach also, and a trainer recognized for empowering parents to raise calm, compassionate, and connected children in Hong Kong, Macau, and Philippines. I'm also the exclusive authorized representative of Gordon Training USA for parent effectiveness training. So what's Parent Effectiveness Training? It's a skills training program developed by Nobel Peace Prize nominee, Dr. Thomas Gordon, who's also a multi-awarded clinical psychologist in the 1960s. And he created this in order to really share with the parents that we can prevent conflicts from happening, and it equips parents to meet their personal needs and children's needs as well through positive communication, healthy boundaries, and reduces conflicts. So what do I do? Basically, I work with parents, psychologists, counselors, and also I work with organizations and also about delivering this training courses to their working parents and to the parents, depending on the organization. So I also work with NGOs and make these skills available to our underprivileged families. I'm also a mother of 2 thriving adults. And I entered motherhood for over 20 years and assuming that love is enough, but I realized I need skills to be able to look after everyone's needs and my needs. So I'm really happy to be here and share with you some of my experiences with our parents and families in Hong Kong.
Wow, great way to hear more. And Deepak?
Thank you, Red. Thank you, Chin, for giving us such a wonderful opportunity to share our experiences. For me, parenting is very special, unique, and sacred journey.
Oh, yes.
And for all parents, I believe, right? And there is no fixed rules because parents are coming from different background, different culture, countries, age, and, so there is definitely no fixed rules to parent. However, as Udit also mentioned, that there are clinical psychologists who are supporting parenting journey by creating this effective communication, checking out the behaviors on the similar grounds. I'm working with several parents, but my philosophy of working is reflect, adapt, evolve, which stands for RAY with Deepak. And what I'm trying to say here is that because parenting is not only one-way journey, it's a two-way journey, because one, we are parenting our own little one, as well as we are parenting our own inner child. And that requires a lot of reflection and adaptation to going beyond our comfort zone, hence evolving. Once we evolve out of our comfort zone, our children evolve automatically by observing us. So I'm working more on inner self rather than them on the children. So it's more reflective exercises, reflective conversation. Hence, parents feel empowered and they are working with their children.
Yeah.
So on this philosophy, right. So on this philosophy, I am serving many different parents as of all different ages. So I have 3 curriculums. One is the module, supportive parenting module, which is based on positive mindset, effective communication, as well as emotional resilience. And the second is very unique, one-to-one, where parents come with their specific problem, and I guide them through their goals and step-by-step process. And third, which is my biggest love of, is that I believe in it takes a village to raise a child. Hence, I'm running this supportive parenting dialogue hour, through which I bring in different topics. I bring building up a community among parents and with other experts also, in order to help and share and learn from each other.
Yes, I think that's very important, that dialogue hour, because I've joined a couple of your dialogue hours as well, along with, I'm actually certified with Odette in the Parenting Effective course as well. So I know both very well, and I think what can we bring to the table is very unique, because the whole idea of this, when we first started, when I spoke to Odette and Deepak, was that I, have a lot of friends who are parents, being a mom for like the last 4+ years now. And also through Little Monkey, a lot of parents talk to us and tell us that right now, the biggest things that they're facing is the stress from this pandemic. And so we started talking about that. And you're right, it's inflecting, because as Little Monkey always believe, it does take a village, and it usually starts with the parents. If the parents are happy, then the kids are happy. And at the end of the day, it's all about the kids. So that brings us to our topic that we want to talk about today, is that there's a lot of issues right now because of the pandemic, a lot of stress. But before we go into our topic, which here, let me show. Our topic today is connecting, let me move this over, is connecting with your child to encourage acceptable behavior during good and challenging time. But before we go into that, let's talk about that challenging time, the pandemic right now. I'm hearing a lot of parents very stressed, because they're just telling me, I'm tired, I'm stressed, my child, school, I'm breaking down, I'm having a nervous breakdown. But, I feel like we need to, before we go into this particular topic of how to encourage the kid, let's validate those feelings. Let's validate these issues that parents are having. What are you two experts seeing based on what you're hearing with your community and your clientele? What are the main stress that they're facing during this pandemic?
Yes. May I start?
Yeah, please.
All right. So for the kids spending time at home when pandemic stopped face-to-face classes, so they're missing their friends, and at the same time, the routine needed to be changed, because this normal now is to be able to do everything within the environment of the home. So also they do have Zoom class fatigue. And for bigger kids, we have difficulty also with having the space that they would like to have, so that they can also have a control of their environment and activities. So they need space from parents, and they're also missing their friends. But for parents, while at home, parents complained about kids who are not wanting to go to Zoom class and also spending too much screen time, and not, their kids are not going outdoors or doing physical activities. So they're finding difficulty in balancing the time of their children. And they also feel stressed because they lack relaxation time, and there are frequent conflicts with spouse and with family members, because everyone's needs need to be considered. So they're bound to come up with ways and finding solutions, so that they can come up with really solid solution for the family, whether what activities to do for the weekend, or how do they go through about accepting and understanding and respecting each other.
Deepak?
So what she's saying is so right, but taking that a little further, I usually work with Hong Kong, Singapore, and India parents. And what I've realized is that parents are overdoing for their children. And they're bringing in a lot of, I would say, protected environment to them, right? However, it's not about providing them all the time, providing the solutions all the time, rather guiding them through the situation, right? So in that situation, what is happening is now the pandemic has provided in the previous time when the good times were there, the children's routine were very fixed. They had their own schedule, they were following it, and they could know, parents knew how to handle that. But now this fall of their schedule is giving them a lot of space. As Udait also said, they are having a lot of time, but at the same time, they don't know how to structure it or creatively manage it. Since technology has come to us as a savior, all our schools, offices, everything is happening on the Zoom, as well as the celebrations, birthday celebrations, weddings are happening on Zoom. So kids are, and even the kids socializing is happening on the Zoom. So kids are feeling that this is the right method of spending time on the online, right? What the message we are providing them is it's okay to be online. But now, as the time is passing by, the consequences are coming in front of the parents. So, and we don't know, as parents, we don't know how to manage that. So that is the biggest challenge the parents are feeling, and they're feeling overpressured, a lot of work, with very unknown factor how to control for future.
So it's almost like, because we're in a pandemic, the parents feel guilty, and in doing so, they're overcompensating by giving the kids more. Like, it's like that when you say that the supportive, in a way, what was the word you used again for the kids, to put them in the environment, you use the word
environment.
The supportive, but it's not really supportive. It's more like, as you said, saying yes to the kids all the time, giving the kids whatever they want, kind of way, and rather than building the kids for resilient, to have the kids say, hey, yeah, there's a pandemic, we can't do this, then we can't do it. That's what life is. Sometimes you don't get what you want.
It's about accepting, but accepting with more of compassion, more with the love, rather than having that regret and tightness in the heart. That this is what it is. I would say that it is a gift. Take it as a gift. I mean, I know it is easier said than done, but somehow I have realized in my own life that if I am resisting to the acceptance, it is persisting.
Yes.
It shows up in many different ways. So ultimately, I have to surrender and accept the way it is.
But it's
very philosophical, but it's very philosophical, but it's really, really important for parents, for all of us, to accept with a lot of grace and compassion.
Yeah, because I think with Gordon Parenting, as the course that I took with Odette, one of the thing is we have to acknowledge their frustration, acknowledge the kids unhappy, and then explain to them, I understand you really, really wanted that toy, or you really wanted to go to Ocean Park or wherever it is, but unfortunately, because the pandemic is shut down, I feel your frustration, I feel your pain. Let's try and find a way to address that. So it's addressing, to not just that, but to find a way to compensate for that we can do it another time, or when it opens and things like that. So just in your compassion, you're using the word compassion, Odette using the word addressing.
You're not only compassionate towards the child, you're compassionate towards yourself. And hence these words will come out from the parents in a more compassionate way rather than a mechanical way.
Oh, okay. It's more like understanding it as yourself.
You mentioned, Shin, that you need to show empathy to their child, but at the same time, you have to have the empathic limits. We are not yes parents in parent effectiveness training. We are still trying to be firm with our values. But at first, we need to acknowledge that they're emotionally flooded, and we have to help them, coach them in that emotional flooding situation so that they're able to think of solutions together with you, depending on the age. And so you can move forward and problem solve. So this is the interesting key that what Chin is saying. And I really want to compliment you, Chin. You remember.
I know. It's like I took the course a year ago when I was still pregnant with the baby. Now he's 1 year old plus. So yeah, hearing all this from what you two are saying, your experience, it seems like the biggest issue it's the kids' behavior too. Like it's dealing with kids. That's the biggest stress during this pandemic for parents. And
Absolutely.
thank you for bringing this up too, because we want to validate and we want parents to understand they're not alone. This is across the board. Everyone's getting this problem, and there is help out there. And the support of the village is here. And we're trying to build that with Little Monkey as well. But one of the things I'm seeing here, because our topic, we agree on this topic, and I put in the word acceptable behavior in quotes, because coming here, when I first came here, there was a lot of things that I questioned, like, wait, is why are we doing this way? Why are we doing that way? And then after having kids, there's a lot more questions I come up with. When my daughter was 2 years old, the school said, hey, you got to practice with her and make her sit more. And I was like, sit still. And I was like, well, she's 2. How is she going to sit still for more than 5 minutes? If she's interested, yeah, she'll sit still. But if she's not, then what do you want me to practice with? I don't understand that. And their thing was, well, other students in the class are sitting still. I was like, yes, but is that normal? I was like, is that really normal? Because that to me is not an acceptable behavior, in the fact that I don't expect her to do that, But for the teacher, they're like, this is an acceptable behavior, and this is, this behavior that they have to follow. And I questioned the teacher, and I was like, well, she'll sit still when she's still. I'm not going to push her to it. No, I fought back, and I was like, no, I'm not going to push her to it. I'm sorry if you feel that way. But, I will try to tell her to, be mindful of other students and their time and stuff, but I can't really practice with the sit still. That's like really not possible for me, that I can think of after doing the research. So can you just give me, like, when you say acceptable behavior, let's define it for the parents, our audience here, when they're watching this. What is acceptable behavior exactly?
So acceptable behavior in parent effectiveness training is really, as I mentioned, the parent effectiveness training system. It is not something that we will prescribe you. It is a system that will be ingrained in your family values, or depending on your role, all right, in the relationship. But so parent effectiveness training, there's no definition of an ideal child or an ideal parent-child relationship. These will be defined by both parent and child, and each family will have their own definition based on their culture, based on your expectations, your values, education, upbringing, economic status. Unacceptable behavior is defined in parent effectiveness training as those actions and words of the child which hinders the parents from meeting her or his needs. So again, dependent on the parent, and will be different depending on the parent and their circumstances. All right. So however, when a parent finds a behavior unacceptable, parent effectiveness training, or PET, prescribes a respectful approach to confront the child. So the child as a person also will share how it is, but I mean, the parent now is as a person meeting her need. All right. So being real, being congruent and authentic when they try to communicate with their children. So the child will know the behavior that is not okay with the parent. The parent also will have to convey to the child the effect of the behavior and what is the feeling of the parent. So this is what we call confrontive I message. And so when we tell the child, we're being authentic, genuine, and being honest about our needs. So that preserves also the child's self-esteem and the quality of the relationship. So I message basically stimulates the thinking and the creative ability of the child. And this is also based on research. So because we assume that the child can have that greater personal responsibility to modify their behavior, because their relationship with their parents is connected, warm, open, and really just trying to grow together as a family over here. So they don't have to comply on external threats or punishment or reward. It's all basically developing a spirit of fairness.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Fair enough. That was a wonderful description. Thank you. Yes, I was so engrossed listening to that. What I feel is, first of all, when I shifted 13 years back from India to Hong Kong, what behavior I wanted from my child to be the person in India versus here in Hong Kong, everything was challenged, right? And through your topic, it made me think, how did I go through the whole process? When I was reflecting on these this concept or acceptable behavior, it made me think, go back and bring on my own experience. So what I realized was that there is no anything, as Odette said, it values, it is built up on each family with both the parents and the child. So it's so cohesive and it evolves from there. It has to require a creative space for everyone to evolve in that atmosphere. However, I would like to comment why parents need acceptable behavior. Why are they looking for acceptable behavior? It's because it's easier and it's predictable. The parents are in control. They can control the outcome of the behavior, what the kids are coming up with.
Oh, okay, so it's like because
Yeah,
I set up these acceptable behavior, and if they follow them, then I know what's going to happen next. Versus if I don't set them up, then okay. So you're saying parents define acceptable behavior based on a family, and as that said, the parents is like what we use baseline, acceptable behavior baseline with the parents based on the family values, family background. We say that, but there's also some families whose acceptable behavior, it's a lot more high. Was it higher or the just
hierarchy based from top to bottom?
Yeah.
So that in that circumstances, what happens? It becomes like feeling of being in the box. There's no space of trying or expressing who you are. All those things are not being there. And in that kind of situation, child becomes very confused because for child, there are 3 different environments. One is the family, the second is the school, and the third is her peers, right? So there are 3 different environments, and for child to behave in a certain way in one environment and in another environment, it's too confusing. Rather, what we is supportive parenting, what we do is through the dialogue and effective communication, what we do, I empower parents to let them empower their child to think themselves and behave according to the situation and be ready for the consequences. That's okay. We are human beings. We can do something wrong, and that's how we learn.
Yeah. So some parents will have to really, like, I think for me and my husband, we sat down and we talked about, certain situation. If something happened that day, we talked about like, hey, if she does this again, are we okay with that? Are we not okay with that? What are we going to say to her? Are we going to, we're trying not to punish. That's the rule. Punishing doesn't really work, because then she'll just get angry and she just thinks next time, like, can I get away with it without being punished? So it's instilling in her this whole idea that I want to be good. I want to be rewarded by mom and dad because they praise me and say, wow, we're really proud of you for doing what you did today, like for being the initiative and showing your brother or finishing your dinner or something like that as well. Okay, so thank you for that. So that, like, that goes into our topic as well.
Getting further, just going further, I would just like, since you brought this up, it was a very interesting topic. What you said was that she wanted to get appreciated by parents, right? That's acceptable behavior. I would say that this is something very scripted. This is like a scripted behavior which the child has created in his mind through the consequences or consequences of many situations, and wanted to be the good one in front of the others' eyes.
Yeah, because that's like what we just said about kids just want to be good at the end of the day, right? Kids inherently, it's not bad. They actually want to be good, but it's just sometimes they're seeking attention or seeking other things, and that's where the behavior or the issues we see as behavior come up.
Yeah, I mean, I would say in one of the presentations, one of the parents said towards the end, which was very, like, it came up to me as a aha moment, that more than parents want their children to be happy, children want their parents to be happier.
Oh.
So they do what they do to make us happy all the time.
That is very true. She does give like, my
See?
daughter does come and say like, hey, are you happy, mom? You know, like, oh yeah, I'm very happy. I get to
Yeah.
spend time with you today. You know, like in a way, very dismissive. I should be more paying attention to that. Thank you. That's very refreshing. That is a very aha moment. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just thought about that now.
How we process that, because if we think that they're doing it for external validation, I think that's also a good way of how are we talking about reinforcing acceptable behavior in our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So I think it's so important that it's not based on external validation, but it's them bringing that inner motivation and inherent motivation.
I think we kind of like went into our topic already. I mean, the whole topic is how to encourage the kids to have acceptable behavior, and then we kind of touch into that. You know, one of the things is them wanting us to be happy, right? So it's almost like Odette, you mentioned
it
in
goes
class
both
before.
the ways.
How we say mom and dad really likes it when you know, or I love it when you do this, or I I'm happy when you do this. It's like that whole I statement as well. So that's like
Chin, very good. So when
she's a good student.
I'm like remembering snippets of it, like remembering it now, but yeah.
Yeah, so when you say your declarative and positive I message, you encourage acceptable behavior, and you're disclosing yourselves to your children so that they can also support this, you know. So it's so important for the children to hear that. So we're trying to catch also the good things that they're doing, not just correcting their, behavior. Catching the good things that they do. So in the class, we teach parents how to say it and when to say it, so that they guided on what is acceptable and unacceptable, and be guided in the sense that focusing on the effect. Thank you very much for helping me carry the bags. It makes my light load. Or I really see that you're working so hard for your assignment. So you're also focusing on the process, not just the outcome of getting a A. So it's interesting how we can share these skills to our parents and practice focusing on the process and the efforts that the children are doing, so that they are aware that their best efforts are complemented by parents and appreciated.
Okay, so
it's like celebrating small successes in the journey.
Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
let me I just want to, because we're doing this whole like, what are the tips and advice for parents. So the one is acknowledging, their feelings, or in this case, we mentioned acknowledging the issues that they're having, right? So, and then explaining to them, like that compassion, empathy. And then the second is how to put into what you mentioned before about, thank you for it's a positive what is reinforcement, affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so that's 2 tips for the parents on how to encourage good behavior. Any more tips for us for that?
So can I go ahead?
Okay,
Can I go ahead? Yeah. So I would say that I use this tool called RAIN, RAIN. Recognize.
Okay.
Recognize the behavior. Recognize the emotion.
Okay.
And allow it to show up. Do not suppress it there.
Okay.
And identify what is happening with a lot of empathy. Questions, right kind of questions. And once we get the flavor, because behavior is on the surface, feelings are within. So through investigation, we get to know their feeling. They get to know their own feelings. Once we are aligned with their feelings, then nurture it with the right words. Put the right words towards them, hug them, or even create a boundary, or whatever the outcome can be, letting you to do whatever the goal is, and then accordingly work towards the goal.
RAIN. I got to remember that now.
RAIN.
Yes. That's a good one. We'll definitely, for our parents watching, we'll definitely write this out too when we post this video up, so you can actually see the summary, I guess, of the effective points from this interview. And Odette, any additional you want to add to the tips and advice?
I think it's really important to spend a lot of time with a child. It's so important to really invest in the relationship,
Mhm.
and then everything follows, because that's when you get to know their needs.
Yeah.
They get to know you more, and they get to also understand where you're coming from, your experiences, and the uniqueness of you compared to dad, or the uniqueness of dad compared to mom. So when we try to be articulate who we are to our children, there's this kind of connection that you have, which is so
Yeah.
unique from relationships that they have.
Yeah, I remember there's an article that we shared on our Facebook page that is, it's not about the quantity of time you spent with the kid, but the quality. Because if you're saying spend time, a lot of parents are spending time, but they're like, on the phone, like,
Being
yeah,
on the
okay,
phone.
that's good job, honey. That's like, that really, it's not there, versus actually
It
putting the
doesn't
phone
work.
aside and actually playing. Oh, let's color this together. Let's do, that kind of, even if I know parents can be so busy, because, we're all working parents and very busy as well. Even that 10 minutes a night reading to them in bed, that connecting, putting your phone down, reading to them, that connection is actual quality spending time. And that's what I think
Absolutely.
it's really needed. The parents need to understand that, not with the, I spent now 2 hours with them today, but the whole 2 hours I was on the phone, where versus they're next to me doing the homework. So that's a different spending time. So yeah, thank you so much. And we're up to our 30 minutes. So I just want to say, if there are some parents, we understand every family is different. Every family has, different types of, children with a different development, different personality. And so the tips that Odette and Dipta might work for you. Sometimes you're trying it and it doesn't seem to work. Well, if it doesn't work, we can always get help, right? So I want to share with you our last screen here. Really fast. This is, and I'll move you guys over. We have this information here for anyone who would need more help, more assistance. And we would have this posted up as well, so that if you do want to talk to Ray in her dialogue hours, or look at some of Odette's other interviews as well, with more advice, or if you want to reach out to him directly for help, here's some additional help for you. And, we really hope that everybody, our audience today, our community of parents, know that we're all here to help them. And that's what the whole purpose of these parenting talk series are doing. We're going to do subject expert matter to bring in to talk about different things that affect the parenting world of life. Next topic, I know. Sorry. Next topic is sleep training. Some people are totally against it. Some people love it and like need it to survival, like someone like me. But what are the bad things about sleep training? How did it get such a negative names? And what are the good things that we parents can use or hear about as well? So next session is going to be about that. And if anyone has any topic or anything they want to talk about, feel free to message us, because Dipta and Odette, I'll definitely bring you back for other topics as well, because I think there's been great conversation, and I think we can talk forever about parenting, all the different things going on.
Absolutely.